The UK has been plunged into Christmas chaos. Police blocking people from boarding packed trains, holidays abroad are scrapped, and travel with Europe banned after London went into an emergency lockdown as a new strain of the virus rages.
The new variant is out of control, and we need to bring it under control. And this news about the new variant has been an incredibly difficult end to, frankly, an awful year.
Joining us now is Bloomberg Senior Executive Editor David Merritt. David, very good morning to you. It's a mixed picture in London. There's a lot of people that are very angry, thinking that they could have had Christmas, and you see a mass exodus over the weekend from London to try to get out in time. At the same time, you hear there from the health secretary saying we have to do what we can because this is just a different mutation of the virus that's very unsafe. They're having a meeting today. What are they going to discuss in this emergency meeting?
That's right, and really the government going into full-blown crisis mode. It is one of the crisis committee meetings, COBRA, that's going to meet today to try to chart the way forward here. The numbers really have skyrocketed of this new variant of the disease, particularly in London and the southeast of England. And clearly, ministers and government scientists are very alarmed. Not only are they alarmed here, they're alarmed across the whole of Europe, and at least 10 countries over the weekend banning travel from Britain into mainland Europe and the Republic of Ireland. That itself is causing huge concern and chaotic scenes at ports. We've got the Port of Dover putting into operation this thing they call Operation Stack. That's where they park trucks all the way up the motorway leading to the Port of Dover because things are stacked up. So people are not going to be allowed to go in. That leads to fears of things like supply shortages. We're just a few days away from Christmas. What does that mean for shoppers? Are they going to start going and trying to hoard things at the supermarkets? And of course we know that all the shopping is restricted in London as well. So huge amounts of problems suddenly appearing, as I say, just a few days before the Christmas holidays, after the government had to make this dramatic U-turn just a couple of days ago to effectively cancel Christmas for huge swathes of the country. And yes, scenes of panic at stations, people are angry, confused, and the government needs to make some firm decisions now about how to chart the way forward. Whatever they do, it's clear, and you quoted, we heard Matt Hancock there, the health secretary, these restrictions, it's going to be difficult getting this new variant under control, and these restrictions are set to last for many, many weeks to come.
Yeah, that's what's on everyone's mind this morning. How long is the new restrictions in this new Tier 4? David, you mentioned it's just days before Christmas, but already we were seeing issues at the port due to the fact that we're also days before the Brexit deadline. Contextualize all of this for us. We have emergency meeting dealing with COVID, but at the same time, they're still trying to hammer out a deal.
That's right. The negotiating teams are trying to inch forward towards a deal. There was yet another deadline was missed yesterday. That was put in front of the teams by the European Parliament, saying if no accord is reached on Sunday, there is no time to ratify this agreement if it comes in time for the 1st of January. So just less than 2 weeks to go. We still have no deal. And if you think about those scenes of chaos at Dover that are going to unfold this morning, that's a sort of dress rehearsal, if you like, for what could happen next week if Britain crashes out of the single market without an agreement. These negotiating teams have now got to also navigate the fact that travel is being banned between their two countries. So meeting face-to-face is going to be very, very difficult. And to get this deal over the line, there are still huge gaps remaining. The issues that we all know about, fisheries, the level playing field, they haven't hammered this out. Is this going to go right up to our next week? Amid all this other chaos, it seems even harder, and the pressure is even more intense on the British government to reach an agreement, and yet that is still not in sight.
What does this mean, David, for Boris Johnson politically?
The headlines are pretty awful reading if you look at the newspapers over the weekend and this morning here. He's really, he doesn't like delivering bad news. We know that about him. He's already had to cancel Christmas for many, many people. He's talking about these restrictions lasting for many months. The public are tired of this virus. The whole world is sort of this. This has been going on all year. And to have yet more bad news to deliver. And, you know, an enormous amount, of course, hangs on that Brexit deal. That is the thing. I think people maybe could should forgive the Prime Minister for the handling of the coronavirus, because it's been obviously an impossible situation for many countries. But of course, Brexit was his doing in large part. He really does own that decision, and any additional chaos that is laid on, or economic damage due to a failure to reach a deal, it's going to be quite hard for him to dodge that one, and maybe the finger of blame will come to him. The question is, will the rest of his party blame him as well? For now, they're behind him in this strategy on Brexit, but if the economic pain really starts to bite over the coming weeks, even more than it has been this year, then really it's not going to be a good start to next year for Boris Johnson.